afternoon, everyone. It's Reverend Ira J. Ackery, and I am your host. I'm here all by myself. Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston, he's still away on business. You're watching All Hands on Deck. All hands on deck as we deal with the current issues in Chicago. It is hot in the town. It is hot in the town. Certainly we are ready to see some real change in Chicago. There's going to be a change with the city treasurer, and there's going to be a change with the mayor. We will have a new treasurer, and hopefully that will be the young lady that I've known all of her life, and she will be coming on shortly. She's in Springfield working on behalf of the people. That is Melissa Conyers Irving. And also we're going to have a new mayor. There's going to be a new mayor in town. I'd like to know who you are with and why you have made your choice. 312-738-1060. I made an endorsement for the mayor's race Sunday. I did. I issued a statement. And let me just say this. For the most part, when I issue a statement at the congregation that I lead, many people know that I'm going to be transparent with them. I'm like the father of that congregation. I'm the leader of that congregation. And I don't need to be out there in the streets making statements and they don't know my perspective or my thoughts or my analysis. Now, for the most part, people in my congregation, I'm not bragging, but for the most part, many of them, they have the political acumen. They know their own personal interests. They do their own research. They know how to compare platforms of various politicians and make their own determination. And we're grateful for that group. But guess what? There is another group. There is another group that they need help. Number one, there's a group of people that life has them bogged down. They're working 2 and 3 jobs, working long hours for mean bosses and low pay. And the last thing they have is another couple hours a day to trying to do research on candidates. And also, they don't have all day to do like some of you all be on Facebook all day arguing and debating on issues. Some people have real jobs and they can't sit on internet and scroll all day and night. Some people got work. And so then you have other people who are apolitical. They just don't know. But somebody's going to influence their vote. Many would rather hear their trusted minister, that minister's analysis, rather than just a commercial on television that's been scripted by whatever candidate that paid for it. Now, people start saying, I don't need no minister. Well, it's amazing the people who say that, they don't go to our churches. The ones who go to our churches, they'll hear it, and they're going to make up their own mind anyway. But it's the ones on the outside that always criticizing the minister. Well, you don't go there, so don't worry about it, okay? But I tell you what, people that sit in these congregations, whoever that minister is, if they've been there 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they're going to trust that minister before they trust some politician to analyze a race for them. But for the most part, most people could do it themselves. But we always got to provide the analysis for people who don't have the time, who just don't know how to do it. 312-738-1060. Let me tell you what I said at my church Sunday. I told the church, and the media was there, and the media they pick and choose whatever they want to show. But I said this, after much prayer and contemplation, it soon became very clear to me, who the next leader of Chicago should be. I said, many of us on the south and west side have grown very weary and tired of the continuous disinvestment on our side of town. We're sick of the political corruption and very disturbed by the mass exodus of African Americans from this city because of the significant decline in the quality of our lives. Some of us have, in fact, called this mayoral election our last stand. Our last stand. And we really were thinking that something drastic had to happen to get an African American advocate in the office who would advocate for all sides of the city. And look at what happened. Fate has it that there will be an African American mayor on the 5th floor. Both of these ladies, I believe, are wonderful people, and both of them will be in history books one day because they are very accomplished. Now, some people, they just lie and they just say negative things about the other person just because they want to win the race. Both of these ladies, I would have no problem if either one of these ladies were my auntie, okay? All right, because they have done very well in life. This is what I said. As a triple minority, I believe Lori Lightfoot truly understands the struggle as a triple minority. But as an accomplished federal prosecutor, a police accountability advocate, and as an anti-machine candidate, she also understands perseverance and success. I called her a triple threat. Let's not miss this opportunity we have waited for more than 30 years to once again have a champion who will represent and fight for all of Chicago. I believe Lori Lightfoot, this is my statement that I read, and you can call and give your reply or your response. And I trust that you will, because there are two candidates running. I know if there's got to be a group of people who disagree with what I'm saying. I want to hear from you. That's how fair we are here at All Hands. All right? I believe Lori has what it takes to begin addressing the conditions that have created an abysmal tale of two cities. Her last name may be Lightfoot, but she'll be the heavyweight champion who will knock out the machine for the people of Chicago. We have had Sojourner Truth. We've had Fannie Lou Hamer and Coretta Scott King and Rosa Parks. We've had Shirley Chisholm, and we've had Barbara Jordan and Carol Mosley Braun, Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris, and in Chicago, we have had Michelle Obama. Now get ready for Lori Lightfoot. And I'm encouraging everyone to get on the good foot and support Lori Lightfoot. On the good foot with better schools, on the good foot with police reform, on the good foot with safer neighborhoods and building the capacity of small businesses and stopping all of the economic disinvestment on the south and west side of our city. We need one Chicago. We need to stop defeating people who have the independent voices. Let's make them advocates and allies, not for the machine, but for the people. Let's get on the good foot and defeat nepotism and cronyism. And I'm hopeful that on April 2nd, Lori Lightfoot will be the next mayor. Because it's truly time that we have change in Chicago. Toni Preckwinkle is a nice lady, but she's had her time. She's had her time. She's had her chance. In fact, in 2015, there were people begging her. We were asking her, come on and take on Rahm Emanuel. We needed someone to take on Rahm. But she wouldn't take on Rahm Emanuel. No, she did not. She passed up taking on the giant. Now, 14 candidates jumped in the race, and easily 7 guys got in after after Gregory Livingston and these guys from the Leaders Network, my colleagues, when they ran Rahm out of town along with young activists in this city, William Calloway and so many others. I can't get over the fact that when we talk about beating the machine, I can't get over the fact that Toni Preckwinkle, she is the machine. She is the head of the Democratic Party. And I've also noticed a pattern that any African American that has an independent thought, she seems to want them gone. Dorothy Brown, clerk of the court, it was surprising and very painful to see them go get this 8th Ward Alderman, Michelle Harris. And Michelle from the 8th Ward they ran her against Dorothy Brown. And we came together, people spoke, and we sent her back to the 8th Ward. In 2013, her own staffer, Robin Kelly, was running for Congress. And she slapped Robin in spite of her loyalty to the side. And she gave her endorsement to Toy Hutchison. Richard Boykin, 1st District Commissioner. He was a great guy. We really appreciated him. He was an advocate for the people. He stood up to try to fight against the gun violence. We were proud of him. He was an attorney, one of the best and brightest in our community. And wouldn't you know it, because he disagreed with her about that old pop tax. Toni Preckwinkle and the union and all these people, they came together and came up with like $500,000. And now it was a close race, but in a razor-thin race, Richard Boykin was defeated. Can't disagree with the Democratic Party or the machine. Listen, I can't forget, people always talk about this pop tax. They call it Queen Sugar and Tax Winkle and all that kind of stuff. I don't get off into that. I wasn't crazy about the tax. I wasn't crazy about paying that extra money. But guess what? Young man spoke up. They fought against her. They fought against him. Him and another gentleman on the north side. Them guys, the machine defeated them. They sure did. My real concern was Barrios. Her support of Barrios clearly sends a loud message that she's not an advocate of the poor because she supported him. And we'll talk about that later. I think our guest is here. We are so excited to have with us the next treasurer of the city of Chicago, Miss Melissa Conyers Irving. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Pastor Acri, for having me. Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you on. I know you've been running for the last several weeks, but we believe you're going to pull this off. Can you tell these people, because I know you're short on time, tell them a little bit about Melissa, as though this is, you got 30 seconds to make your case. Tell us about Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa is born and raised in Chicago, a proud Chicagoan. Come from humble beginnings, born in Inglewood, raised on the west side of Chicago by a single mother of 3 girls. Product of Chicago Public Schools, first in my family to go to college, attained my Bachelor of Science in Finance in undergrad. Upon graduation, I spent over a decade in the private sector, minority female, working for a Fortune 500 company, really obtaining the skills and training needed to work with all people from all walks of life. And from there, I went on to get my MBA in finance from Roosevelt University and made a decision. One of the most and that's important decisions of my life, and that was to leave corporate America and work for my community, later becoming state representative and love what I do, but looking to be the next city treasurer with the skills that I have and the background.
It seems like you are the most qualified because I looked at the resume of your opponent and I see nothing about finance. What does he consider his greatest attribute? I'm just trying to figure it out.
You know, I was just talking to some people this morning about that very point. I said, you know, where I come from, being, you know, raised by a single mother of 3 girls, she told me that, you know, me being a woman, especially being an African-American woman, I had to work twice as hard as the next person. And we were told that education was so important. Now that I'm the only candidate in the race with an MBA in finance, now all of a sudden, when we're talking about handling an $8 billion portfolio, now all of a sudden that's kind of like to the wayside of me knowing that this is very, very important. And I think that voters are more intelligent. I think that voters understand that when it comes to taxpayers' money, this is not something we should be experimenting with.
Absolutely. That was very impressive, an MBA in finance, 10 years in the private sector. And you're not a rookie, you've been a state representative. This is so awesome. When you get into this office as the treasurer, can we look for something different, or do you expect it to be more the same?
Well, here's the great part about this race is that this is a race that we've never had a competitive city treasurer's race, ever. We don't recall any city treasurer's race that has been competitive. And so we have an opportunity to come into office and be independent. Why is that important? Because taxpayers need to know the true financial analysis of Chicago.
Sure.
Right now, that's being done by the office of the mayor. That's like the fox watching the hen house.
That's exactly right.
We need to know from an independent person what's really going on. So here's what I intend on doing on day one. Because, you know, I mentioned, hey, I come from the underserved community. I know what's needed. I know that we need someone that's going to be a treasurer for all of Chicago, representing every community. So what I want to do on day one is that I'm going to bring in the CEOs of the financial institutions that are holding our money. And I am going to expect a plan. And that plan needs to address the unbanked and underbanked population of Chicago.
Now that is amazing. So you're going to deal with something real. You're going to deal with redlining for the most part.
You mentioned something that is so very important about redlining. We have so many residents in underserved communities that cash their check at currency exchanges, paying an astronomical fee, which that money should be returned to the household. We have residents in underserved communities that when they need loans and financing, it's been done at payday lending services. Again, astronomical fees. We have to address the unbanked and underbanked population, and that is going to be through these financial institutions.
That's good. Now let me ask you, what do you think you have in common with your predecessor? Because I'm just assuming we're going to take this because people are very smart and they're going to compare, and we're going to pull this off. Can you speak to that?
Yes. I think what I have in common to my predecessor is that his background is also finance. And right. The one before him background was also finance. That's important.
Absolutely. Because
nothing has changed, and that you have to have the necessary training and skills to manage an $8 billion portfolio. But what I love that I bring to this race with a unique perspective is that not only do I have the credentials, and I am the only candidate in the race with these credentials, but in addition to that, I share the value of everyday citizens of Chicago. I have walked in the shoes of everyday citizens of Chicago. I'm going to take that same mindset when I go to City Hall as the next city treasurer.
All right. It's going to be awesome around here. We're going to have a whole lot of African American sisters in leadership. And we are just so grateful for you coming on today. Would you like to make a comment? Are you fired up about the mayor's race?
You know, just like, the voters, I'm still making up my mind right now.
All
To be
right.
honest with you. Yeah.
All right. All right, but it's a golden opportunity. I know you're very proud knowing that one way or the other, a competent African-American woman will be the mayor of our city.
I think that we have some really good choices.
Yes.
I think that the voters are going to make the appropriate choice. I'm excited.
Me too. I really am. I'm excited. I'm excited to have you. Listen, I'm going to let you go, Melissa. They've heard you speak, and I want to see what they have to say. The callers are lining up. I want to thank you, and please know.
Punch number. Go ahead, Pat.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, because I want you to get yours in.
I said my punch number is 50. Go
All
ahead.
right.
What you gonna say?
Now that I didn't know. I did not know. Punch 50.
My punch number is 50, and I appreciate everything that you do, your advocacy for the community. I love you. I appreciate everything about you, and we'll certainly talk further. Thank you for your support.
We're not done. We're going to put some money in that campaign, too. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Caller, welcome to the show. You're on All Hands on Deck. Come on with it. I know you're fired up.
Good afternoon. And she do have my vote. But I heard you speaking earlier about the candidates for mayor.
Yeah, I think I remember you calling. You were hard last week. You got us.
I know you remember me. Yes, you do.
You got us last. You don't have no mercy on me, but go ahead.
I'm just telling you, it's not the idea I don't have no mercy on you. But I heard you say a couple of things. I'm not going to get too far deep into that. But let me say something this. You did not mention the secret is going to be which one of those ladies could handle the 50th wards that we have in this city, and that's the aldermans. See, again, neither one of them can't do nothing without the aldermans. That's number one. I got my ballot here right now. I've had for a few days. I haven't made up my mind yet. 'Cause neither one of them I did not vote for. But again, I thought which one would maybe could get along with those aldermen.
Well, you got to remember, Harold Washington didn't get along with him. But he was the most effective mayor we had in the last 100 years. So you don't have to be buddies.
He was a politician. He also was a politician before he became mayor. Lori has never been in office. How is she going to get those big businesses to come here? That's another thing. And how is she going to get along with the aldermen? Now, on the other hand, Tony can't get along with them. A majority of them like her. But they were, kind of scratch each other's backs if she was there. Not saying to vote for her, but I don't think neither one of them will be, something go against the aldermen. Now, that's just my opinion.
Well, I appreciate you calling in.
I admire some of the things you do. You do stand on your foot for certain things. But listen, seriously.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in with your wisdom. That's why we call it All Hands on Deck. Do we have another call, or did you let him go? You shouldn't have let him go. Come on. I don't need to talk. I want to hear from them. That was a great call. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to get out early because the caller is not on the line. But we love you, All Hands on Deck audience, and we hope to see you. We got about 2 more weeks. It's been a long haul. It's been tough. My co-host hasn't been here in a few weeks. I appreciate Beauty stepping up, my producer. She's been on time. She's been awesome. We need to take her to MSNBC. All right. God bless you. It's a joy to be here in Can TV Studios. And you got Ira J. Ackery coming back at you. We'll see you next week. Keep it there.